There's Another Way to Do That, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. For season 2, we're modifying recipes inspired by my guests. So let's get into it. Aeisha Reese loves meatloaf. I don't necessarily love meatloaf, but I grew up eating it. So I decided to make a gluten-free turkey hickory meatloaf. Aeisha uses a mushroom gravy sauce. I'm not good with making gravy, and I ain't even about to attempt this for my cooking show until I master it. So I decided to do a hickory sauce because I can't eat barbecue sauce and I can't eat tomatoes and ketchup. So I decided to do a liquid smoke, which is hickory. So we'll see how that goes. I played around with the liquid smoke, and if I use too much, it's very powerful stuff, first of all. If I use too much, then it gave me a little bit of heartburn. So I'm going to go very light on it. But if you can handle the hickory, then you're fine. You can add however much you would like when I get to that part. But we're going to start by putting on these gloves and getting into this recipe. But this is really a quick recipe. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about it. It's very simple. And Aeisha doesn't use bread in it. Now, I'm sure you can do a gluten-free bread. It can like breadcrumbs or something that traditionally, usually I believe, go into a meatloaf. But I'm not going to use any sort of bread. I'm going to do it just how Aeisha did it. And I'm going to do about 1.5 pounds of ground turkey meat. This, I like Mary's. I know this isn't everywhere, but if you're in California, you can get Mary's meat. It's Mary's free range organic ground turkey meat. I really love her meat because they have gluten-free meat. They actually have it as a thing. Most places, they don't have gluten-free meat. It's just however they do it. So we're going to ground this up. I mean, it's not really grounding, smashing it. I'm going to smash this up a little bit, and I'm going to throw a lot of herbs inside of it. If you saw my me working with turkey meat last year, then you'll notice how I like to put egg inside of the turkey meat. It just gives it a little more texture and flavor. I also feel like it helps hold everything together. And usually when I do like any kind of burgers or turkey burgers or something, I like to use an egg. If you can't use eggs, just leave it out because you don't necessarily need it. I just like to use an egg to help bind it. And honestly, I pretty much like using egg whites more than the yolk. I don't like yolk. I know people love yolk. Some people eat yolk like they like specifically want just the yolk because they want it to be all runny and stuff all over it. I'm not like that. I'll do like a little baby amount of yolk. And then the rest is egg whites because I tend to eat egg whites. Okay. So then we're going to just throw a little bit of olive oil in here. And the rest, I'm going to mix some of this up. And then we're going to put a lot of fresh herbs this time in this because she likes using fresh herbs. So I decided I'm going to buy a bunch of fresh herbs and cut these puppies up. We're just going to mix this up with our hands. That olive oil smells good. I don't like the smell of raw meat. I know that sounds funny, but I just don't. I got a new knife. So this stuff is going to be really simple to cut up. Look at this. Bam. Bam. Okay, so we got parsley here. We have fresh oregano. We have some fresh basil, thyme. I got a little rosemary in there too. So that's rosemary, the big one, and thyme. And we're just going to cut this stuff up and put it inside. Some of it I'm going to pick off because it really doesn't. I can pick off some of this oregano. I'm sorry. Is this oregano? No, that smells like marjoram. Oh, I think marjoram is in there too. Haha. I have a little blend. So I like these little fresh packets of herbs, and then I also buy the other ones, but Yeah, that's Marjoram too. Okay, so, and then this is the big one's the oregano. I was like, wait a minute, what's that? That don't smell like oregano. I think some of these, I'm gonna just pull some of this shit off. Okay, yeah. This will be easier. I'm just gonna, some of this I'm gonna pull off. And then, ooh, yeah, now that's oregano. Thyme, I always feel like it's so good. I like to just, when I'm making like a steak or something, I'll just put the whole dang on stem on top. I've actually never made a meatloaf. I've never made a meatloaf, and I've never made something like this with all fresh herbs. Usually it's maybe just a few fresh herbs, and then I'll probably something like parsley, because parsley is very common. But I'm just starting to get into the fresh herbs, and I really like it. And since I'm using the fresh herbs, I decided to also do the fresh garlic. So let's get into that. Before we cut that stuff up, I'm going to show you this fresh garlic here. Look how easy it's cut up. Look at it. Ooh. This, I bought a chef's knife, so it just glides right on through. I love this. Yes. The reason I decided to do fresh garlic instead of my normal minced garlic that I buy in a jar is because of the additives in there. And also, I started getting heartburn because I really like garlic. And I noticed when I use the fresh garlic, I don't get it as bad. And I tend not to use as much. So this is what we gonna do. All right, and so this is the basil. Ooh, basil is so strong. It's one of those strong herbs, but it tastes so good. It's cutting up really nicely. This is my first time using this knife. I just bought this knife. So I'm likey. I likey so far. Very nice. I'm not sure if this is how people traditionally, we gonna pick this one. I'm not sure if people traditionally do their herbs like this inside a thing, but again, there's another way to do that. Now we're gonna do some parsley. Ooh, this is gonna be so herby. And then I'm gonna throw a little bit of spinach in there too. I've started doing the fresh spinach instead of the baby spinach because it just tastes good. And if you are doing the real spinach instead of the baby spinach, then you just have to make sure that you clean it really well because it's going to be dirty. Like it's going to be a worm in there, some caterpillars, maybe some kind of spider looking thing. Like, and I clean mine with just water and distilled vinegar. That's how I clean all of my veggies. Sometimes I'll use depending on what it is, I will also use baking soda. So we also have that. Now for the dry herbs. Okay, now we're just going to throw some dry herbs in there, mix this thing up, and then we're going to make a shape and throw it in the oven. Very simple. I'm going to put, I know I put a ton of regular herbs, but I'm also going to put some dry herbs. This is just Italian seasoning. I'm going to throw a little cumin in there because I always throw a little cumin in whenever I do turkey. And I also have some Worcestershire sauce. This is Robbie's gluten-free, low-calorie, fat-free, low-sodium Worcestershire sauce. It's vegan. And we're just going to throw that in here. I like to use this because it has a lot of flavor. I really, really enjoy the flavor it brings. And of course, we're going to throw a little salt. This time I'm going to do Himalayan salt. I feel like when you do turkey, it needs a lot of flavor because it's pretty bland in general, but it's good. It's just a little bland. Just going to mix this up. We're just folding and mixing. And as you can see, it's going to look like there's not very much in there after a while. I put a lot of herbs. I probably put too many herbs. It's going to be a little chunky. But since there's not going to be no bread in there, I mean, honestly, it'll be fine. And once it cooks down, it won't be like that. I feel like I want to add more garlic, but I'm trying my hardest not to because garlic for real gives me heartburn, but I love it. Oh my gosh. I love the garlic. You can use pepper or paprika or something like that. Aeisha does that. I cannot use paprika because peppers in general, any sweet, doesn't matter. It gives me inflammation. So for mine, I'm not doing that. But if you would like to do that, feel free to add that in right now. Okay, now we're going to make this into a loaf. Look, that's big as I don't know what. I'm going to rip this up. Cut your stuff up smaller. Don't do it as big as I did. It's not going to taste bad, but you know, I get impatient. It still look pretty though. It's going to taste good. Okay. And now we just going to make a little loaf. And because I already have olive oil in there, I did not oil this, but I am going to throw a little bit of oil on the bottom. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually. I'm going to just move it around. You'll see. But probably it's a smart thing to do so it don't burn at the bottom. Ooh, look at this. It looked like a loaf. I should have looked up how they make it look pretty. Ooh, it is pretty. It looked like a blob. I'm not going to put the smoked on there right now. I'm going to let this cook a little bit before I add the smoked whatever. So we'll make the smoked sauce that I decide to make in just a moment. And then we're going to throw this in here on 375. I would say turkey only usually take about 20 minutes or so, 20 or 30 minutes. We'll see how long it takes. That's probably way too much olive oil. But I might as well make that a sauce. I might as well just say, I'm going to put some Worcestershire sauce around that. We improvising now, y'all. I'm going to throw some Himalayan salt. The thing about Himalayan salt is not as strong as the regular sea salt. So it'll be all right. And then, like I said, turkey, it takes a lot to get the seasoning in there. So we should be good. But I know this liquid smoke, I'm going to have to kind of brush that on. And I don't want to go crazy with that. So, but, ooh, let me throw some little herbs on there and on top. Oh, don't this look cute? So Aeisha also does rice, but first I want to see if this is gonna turn out good before I get to throw on some rice with it. So we experiment together today, and we shall see. But it looks really cute. When this gets about pretty much all the way done, about 20 minutes, I'm gonna add the sauce. So I'm gonna bring it out because it's still kind of cooking. And I'm going to put it in for like a couple minutes after I add the sauce to it. So all I'm going to do is add a little bit of liquid smoke. I'm going to do a teaspoon of liquid smoke. And I'm going to add cumin. About 3 dashes of cumin. And I'm going to add the roasted garlic because it gives a little bit of a different taste, and I think it'll add to the hickory taste. And I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil so that I can move it around. And we're just going to kind of move this around. I'm going very light on the sauce, but of course you can be as heavy-handed as you want. I did end up adding a little rosemary to surround the olive oil kind of sauce I had this sitting in. So we have that going on as well. And I'm just going to put it in the oven literally for just like a couple seconds. I kind of want to add, I don't want to overdo it. Let me smell it. Ooh, it smells really good. Okay. Maybe I add just a tiny bit more, a little bit. Just, I want to make sure I cover the sides. So we're going to do that again. Oop. Well, that's enough. I did like over a tablespoon last time I tried this, and I just felt like it was too much. But this is like only meat, so it'll be a little bit different. I always use cumin because I can't use pepper or anything, and I be wanting a little bit of flavor to my stuff. So that, since I can't use pepper and I can't use paprika, which I love paprika, it's a nice seasoning, I just can't use it anymore. All right, we're gonna cook this down on top of it just for like maybe 3 to, I would say about 3 minutes or so. I'm just gonna check the temperature, even though I checked it before. I just like to check my meat temperature before I try my food, just to make sure each part of it is actually ready. And I do feel like some of it is done and some of it isn't. So I'm gonna let it sit. I'm gonna let it go in there a little bit longer. It should be done, and as you can see, it's nice and very, very, very juicy because I added that egg and olive oil, and that really, really makes it so that it's nice and juicy. So shall we? I'm gonna use my knife because I'm all about this knife right now. I'm gonna just do a little piece off the side here. Ooh, see, this is why I add so many herbs. I'm gonna like pull around this juice too. Yes. Look at this. Oh my gosh. And if you can smell this, it smells delicious. So nice. Let's try it. Smells good. Let's see what the taste talking about. We're not even gonna smother it with no rice or nothing yet, because we want to see what this tastes like. It's meatloaf. It tastes good. I could have probably put a little bit more smoked on there because it's very light, so I can get heartburn. I like all the herbs. Wow. Now, one thing I will say is because I put so many fresh herbs, it almost tastes like bread is in it. It's interesting that it has that taste. Let me see. I'm going to dip it in juice. If it's just for you, do that. But very nice. And this will pair really well with some rice. Wow. Oh my God. Look at the inside. It's like a marble. I made a little marble. Beautiful. I definitely see what Aisha's talking about as far as the rice being able to have the rice catch this sauce, because yeah, even with my sauce, I would love for it to be with rice for sure. It's very flavorful. Wow. Oh, that's good. I'm hungry. One thing I'll add, if you're struggling to break down that hickory in the liquid smoke, make sure you take a digestive enzyme either before or after, or for both, before and after you have this. That way, it'll help your tummy out. I tried that and it helped me so much. And if you have any questions about digestive enzymes, I'll link you in the description. Season 1, I talk about how it's helped me. This has been There's Another Way to Do That, which is part of I Can't Eat Shit podcast on YouTube and wherever you stream your podcast. Check out Aisha's full podcast episode and make some rice.